our live Q&A for April in just a few minutes. I'm just going to let everybody get into the chat and we'll start our Q&A. We had about 15 questions that people wrote in and asked, so we're going to try and answer those. And then if you guys have any questions, you can write them in the chat and we'll go from there. I'm hoping to get this Q&A short, maybe less than an hour, just because I know it's Easter weekend and, you know, the way things are going right now with the coronavirus and everything. I know that a lot of you are online, so hopefully we can get some good questions going and answer some questions and go from there. So thanks to everyone who is joining us. We'll be starting our Q&A in just a few minutes. I'm just going to give you guys a chance to get in here and we'll start it off and see how it goes. I hope everyone's doing well. As I said, I had a lot of great questions that people asked, so hopefully this works out well for everybody. So we'll start in just a minute. Thanks again, all of us who wrote in questions, those who want to join for our Q&A. A lot of you guys had some interesting questions that you asked, and hopefully we can get this rolling. And as I said, if you guys have any questions you would like answered, you can write them in the chat, and I'll answer them as soon as I see them or as soon as they pop up. So welcome, everybody. Hello, Monica. Hello, everybody that's joining. I hope all of you guys are doing well. Hi, Cassie. Hi, everybody. So let's start off. Happy Easter to you guys. I know this is like not our typical Easter that we normally all celebrate, right? But we make the best of it, and so I hope you guys are doing well and you feel healthy and safe and you're staying indoors. I hope all of you guys are healthy. I know with the COVID-19, our lives have completely changed. I have been in the house now for almost a month. I've been out of work for about a month now, and it's been really tough. But I'm doing what I need to do to stay safe and protect myself and the people that I care about. So, with that being said, I hope you guys are all staying safe and doing what you need to do, and covering yourself up when you go out and not doing anything stupid. So, with that being said, welcome everybody to our Q&A for April. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Ann says hello and hope you guys are doing well too. And we'll start off with a couple things. Some people asked me to cover. One of the first things was COVID-19 coronavirus scams. So we know a lot of scammers are taking advantage of this pandemic to try and scam people. There's a couple scams going around. One of them is scammers are making fake donation pages for the World Health and for hospitals and doctors. They're making fake GoFundMe pages to try and get people to donate money. What it comes down to at the end of the day is if you want to donate to a hospital or to a charity, Google that charity yourself, look it up online, make sure it's legit, make sure it's not a scam. If you want to donate to, the Red Cross or a hospital in New York or whatever, just Google the information yourself. Don't do it through people's Facebook pages that you don't know, or do it through instant messenger. Someone sends you a DM and says, hey, want to donate to the hospital, because scammers are taking advantage of this to try and get money. So be very, very careful with where you donate money, where you donate your credit card information and things like that. Just be very, very careful with that. So hi everyone that's just joined us. Really appreciate you guys coming out from all over the world. And hello, I'm in Oregon, and staying safe so far. So one of the things that they're also doing is scammers are pretending to be doctors, and as you know, they're making fake doctor profiles to try and romance victims. This comes down to, at the end of the day, real doctors, real nurses, real medical staff don't have the time to chit chat with you right now. They don't have the time to romance you and send you songs and tell you they love you. They don't need your iTunes cards. So please, please, please keep this in mind. We've had an influx of fake doctor profiles that are just coming out of the woodwork. Real doctors right now are not talking to you. They don't want to know you. They don't want to get to know you. They never want to get to know you at this point. They're very busy. So please, please keep that in mind. If you get a friend request from a doctor, I would block it because it's a fake. Scammer Stories podcast. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Your podcasts are awesome as well. So, the next thing that they're doing, let's talk about it. If you live in the United States, as you know, the government is going to send most Americans a $1,200 or more depending or less, stimulus check to help with everyone that's out of work, including myself. Um, Scammers do know that Americans are getting these stimulus checks. They've already created fake websites claiming to be the IRS, and they'll send these to victims saying you can get your money faster if you fill in your bank information and your password and all this stuff. So they know about the stimulus checks. Scammers watch the news just as much as you and I do. And so they are waiting with bated breath to try and get your 1,200 or whatever amount you're getting from the government. So let's talk about this. The IRS is not going to send you a link to click on. They're not going to prompt you for your bank information. They're not going to PM you on Instagram or Facebook. They're not going to email you and ask for your bank information. If you watch the news, you know, if you filed taxes and you had direct deposit, the government knows your bank information. They know where to send your check. They know where to deposit it. So you don't need to go online and verify from anybody. Scammers are taking advantage of this. They're trying to get your bank information, your login details, and they'll clean your account out or they'll use your account. So don't ever give your information online. Don't click on any links that someone sends you to get your money faster. It doesn't work that way. So just remember that. They're out in full force trying to get your money. And you know, times are hard for everybody. Times are hard for me. Times are hard for a lot of people. And scammers know this, and they're also using it to try to take advantage of you. And you know, they'll offer you money. They'll say, "Hey, give me your bank account, and I'll send you some money." And you know, you keep 2,000 and send the other 3,000 on. So scammers are trying to use people as money mills. And they know that a lot of people are desperate for money, and that's what's happening. So don't fall victim. Don't be a money mule. Don't give your bank information. Joanne, I had messaged you the other day about a person on Instagram, and you said it was a scammer. My question is, how or why do they want to follow me? They want to follow you because they want to look at your photos. They want to see what you're doing. They could take your photos. A lot of scammers, just like on Facebook, on Instagram, they follow victims or target victims, and they see what they like. They see what they post. They get to know you without talking to you. So they're following you on Instagram. They're wanting to know your photos. They're wanting to know what you post, what you're about. Even if you know they're a scammer and you're not talking to them, and they're still following you, that means they're still getting to know you. They're still getting to find out what you're about. And it could be just a simple purpose if they want to steal your photos. They want to have the photos of your kids, your family, whatever. The best thing is if you know someone is following you that's blatantly a fake profile, or maybe it's a real profile of a scammer, just block it. Don't let them follow you. Block them. I'm not a big fan of Instagram because it is kind of a portal to scammer paradise. They're all on Instagram right now. We have more people send us fake Instagram profiles than we have Facebook or dating profiles. So that's one of the reasons they follow. The same reason they follow you on Facebook if you have your followers turned on. They want to see what you post. They want to see your photos. They want to learn all about you, and that's why they do it. So just be very, very, very careful with followers. Be careful with what you're posting. Be careful with what you're saying, and what your photos, if they're public. Remember, those public photos become photos for scammers to use. So I hope that answers your question. We had first question. I want to address a few things too about some anti-scam pages. But first question we have: we know that scammers are typically in their teens and 20s, but what do older residents in the scammer hotspots do? Do they keep scamming? Do they graduate to higher levels of con artistry? Do they join their country's corrupt police force? That's a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that before. And a lady asked me this last month. So I'll talk about a lot of the scammers they're in their teens, 20s, go up to about 30. And then it's very rare to meet a scammer who's like 35, 40, 45, 50. You're getting up there. A lot of times what scammers do, it depends on their situation. You have scammers that, let's say at 20 years old, start scamming online. They take the money and they put themselves through college. They get a degree. Some of them move on and get great paying jobs, and some of them just, they take their knowledge and they get the money that they need and they get out of the game, and then they retire, in a way. They may find other projects. They're really good scammers. You know what? There's scammers that are in their 50s and 60s that are scamming online. It's not prevalent. It's more the younger guys, but they do it. They teach their younger siblings. I had talked to a scammer a couple of years ago who was in his 40s, and he was teaching his kids who were in their 20s how to scam. And he said, I did it, and so I'm teaching my kids. So it's a generational thing as well. Older scammers will teach the young kids how to do it. Some of them run internet cafes. Some of them take their money that they've gotten from victims, if it's a lot of money from a long period of time, and they open businesses. They open shops. They're entrepreneurs. At the end of the day, they're getting that money for a reason, whether it's to further their education or to open a business. And so some of the older scammers, they keep scamming. Some of them get really good at it. They move on from, profiles and romance scamming to bank fraud, wire fraud, that type of thing, credit card fraud. It really depends on the scammer, but a lot of them do end up being teachers to the younger generations. They end up teaching the younger kids how to scam. It's like, we hear this sometimes that they have scammer schools. And in a way they do. A lot of scammers do have, places where they gather and they teach the younger kids what to do and what to say. So that's kind of what they do. I mean, every scammer is different, but I hope that kind of answers your question. I mean, as far as what I've learned, they do move on to other things, but they do take your money and start their life. They buy houses, they buy cars, they do it. They do everything. So, so thanks everyone for joining us. Happy Easter, everybody. I'm just trying to read your things as they go through. And if you guys have questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat, and I'll try to catch them. If I miss your question and it's really important, just ask it again, and I'll catch it. So, next question we have is, you mentioned this American Voice Accent app. Can scammers use this to do video chats with stolen video too? So if you guys have been watching, I made a video last night and I posted it today about the American Accent app. And what it is, I think it's a free app. I haven't really downloaded it, but it's an app you can get through the Play Store or through Apple. And what it is it's a like a voice changing device in a way. So you guys remember voice changers where you could make yourself sound like a robot or a high pitched, alien. So someone has developed an app that will record your voice, and the app will actually take your accent out. And it's a robotic type of thing. I mean, if you listen real carefully, it sounds kind of weird when the voice gets played back, but it's an app. And so a scammer, let's say from Nigeria, who has a very heavy West African accent, will talk into the app and say, "Hello, my name is Bob Smith." And what happens is the app will translate his words into an American sounding voice and an American sounding accent and give him back a little voice clip. Scammers then take that voice clip and they play it for the victim and say, "See, I'm American." And it's fooling a lot of people. But if you listen to these voice apps really carefully, you can hear kind of a robot, kind of electronic twang, if you will, to the voice. So you have to listen very carefully. And we have some information on it, and in the video there's an actual recording of a scammer using it, but it's fooling people. And so this is a new way, and yes, they could use that voice app. They could record a paragraph or a sentence, and then they could transfer and dub that over onto a video. And yes, they could use it for video chat. So at the end of the day, what it comes down to is, when you're talking to somebody online and they are chatting with you, and they send you like a voice recording, but you're kind of unsure, tell them, "I want to video chat you. I want you to write your name or my name on paper and hold that piece of paper up while I chat, while you're on video." And a real person will be able to do that. A scammer will tell you, "Oh, it's forbidden for me to video chat. It's against security rules. I'm not able to." They'll make up an excuse. So, you know, the app is scary because it can definitely cause victims to fall for these people. I've had a lot of victims come to me and say, "Oh no, the scammer's not from Nigeria because I heard him, he's American." And I'll hear the voice recording and I'll tell them it's an app. So like I said, the best thing you can do, you're talking to somebody, tell them you want a video chat and tell them you want them to write your name on paper, or even to draw a heart and hold the paper up right next to their face while on camera. A scammer and technology cannot allow them to do that as of yet. So that's the best thing that you can do. Debbie, I live in Milwaukee, and I don't think someone would have to go that far for a job. Northern Wisconsin, Minnesota lumber industries. See, a lot of scammers too. I'll mention this real quick because I talked to a lady the other day, that she was talking to a man online, and he's in California. He lived in Los Angeles, and he worked in Texas. And he would go to work every day, and he would tell this victim, "Well, I live in Los Angeles, but I work in Dallas." Well, no, people don't do that. And generally people that, live in California don't work in Texas. It's a long drive, it's a long flight. And that's one thing that's a red flag too, is if you're talking to somebody online and they're telling you that they live in one state but work in another, it's highly unlikely. There are people, that, that's for sake of an argument. There are some people that live in Oklahoma and work in Texas, but they live in the border. They live close to Oklahoma. They live close to Texas. They don't live, 6,000 miles away and drive every day. So that's another red flag to look out for, is if someone's, telling you they live in one state and work in another. Another red flag too is if you're talking to somebody online and they tell you that they're flying to Malaysia from New York, and within 4 hours they get on their flight and they're texting you saying, "I've arrived in Malaysia." It doesn't work that way. It's a long flight. It's like 15, 16 hours, if not more. So that's one thing to look out for. I mean, it's they don't have a concept with time. They really don't. I had a question. We know that oil rig scams doctors and military, but I just had one from Bottled App say he works in the lumber industry and that he just went from Milwaukee to Alaska for a job. Ever had that? Yes. Sorry, I missed your question. Yes. So the scammer we just spoke to the other day on Tagged, he said he owned a lumber industry company and he was a timber cutter, and he said he was in Alaska, and then he said he had to go to, I think it was Ghana, to cut some timber. They do that. And really right now with what's going on in the world, nobody's really bouncing around. You know what I mean? Yeah, you work for travel if we need to, but that sounds like a scammer. And that comes down to, if he says he works in the lumber industry or whatever, ask him, what company does he work for? What's your contract? Where's your job site? And start grilling him with questions. Some scammers will come up with an excuse, but at the end of the day, it sounds like a scam. And keep in mind, people get complacent with scammers saying they're doctors, oil rig engineers, military. But in reality, a lot of scammers are now saying they work cutting trees. They work, doing stuff. I had one tell me he worked in a rock quarry, and he had to fly to Nigeria, rock quarry, which is a kind of a new thing. We haven't heard that before. But they are using new excuses, and lumber, timber cutters, and that seems to be a new one they're using. But I've met a couple of scammers on Tag that have told me they work in the lumber industry, so it is happening. And at the end of the day, no matter what job they tell you that they do, just look at what they're saying to you. I mean, what are they asking of you? They can, you could have a scammer that tells you they work at Walmart, but if they're telling you they need $10,000 or your bank account information, it's a scammer. So, but yeah, be on the lookout for new jobs. There's a lot of new professions scammers are saying that they do. So, next question we have. Um, I'm talking to a man online who claims to live in California. He gave me his work address and home address and says he owns a business. Why and how would a scammer give you a real American address if they're in a place like West Africa? Simple. Scammers will go on Google and they will go on Zillow, which is a real estate site, and they'll say, "Oh dear, I live at 1234 Main Street in Los Angeles," and they'll give you an address. They find these homes for rent, they find these homes for sale, and they give you the address and they say, "This is where I live." And then they'll go online and they'll Google another address, and oftentimes they'll Google addresses to empty businesses for sale, empty real estate property for sale for business, and they'll give you that address. And so they do that as well, and it happens quite often. So if you were to throw that address he gave you into Google, it'll come up with a house for sale or a house for rent. And it's just a way to try and make themselves look legit. But really, at the end of the day, they're still lying to you. And if somebody, I'll tell you one thing: if you've met somebody, you've only been speaking for say a day or two, no normal person in their right mind is going to give you, a stranger, their home address, their work address, all their personal information. It doesn't happen that way. And I've been online for 20 plus years, and when I've met people off the internet just casually chatting as friends or whatever, you don't tell a person all of your personal business. It just doesn't work that way. There's that level of protection that a normal person has. And so if you're chatting with somebody and they're telling you, oh, my name is Bob Smith, blah blah, and I work here, and this is where I work, and here's my address, and here's my there's something wrong. And scammers sometimes using fake profiles overshare. They give you tons of information about themselves or their fake persona because they're trying to cover up for the fact that they are fake. So they're trying to just flood you with personal information to make themselves seem legit. But in reality, it's kind of odd, for a stranger to say that to you. I mean, put yourself in your own shoes. If you just met somebody, you just met them online, you've only known them for a day, would you give them your home address? Would you give them your work address and your title and your first and middle and last name and your birth date and where you were born? No. So, think of it the same way. If someone's oversharing, there's something's wrong. Next question we have. I recently had a man online chat with me for 5 months. He's never asked me for anything, but now claims he needs to call a doctor because he thinks he has the coronavirus. He asked me if I can pay the doctor for him to do a house visit because he says he can't get out of his house to go to the bank to get money. Do you think it's a scam? Yes. So let's talk about this coronavirus. So scammers are using coronavirus. I'll say a few things about this whole corona situation and doctor's visits. And see my doctor on Monday for my usual 6-month medical checkup. Okay. The office was closed. So we video chatted and he went over my blood test results with me via video chat. And we had an office visit on video chat. So it's very rare for doctors to make office visits. I at least in America it is. It's kind of a rare thing. And another thing is if you need a doctor, you don't go to the bank and get cash. I mean, I'm speaking for myself. I do online pay. So I have my health stuff online. I log in and I can pay my bill with my debit or credit card, and I pay for my office visit online. So, if you're talking to somebody who claims they have coronavirus, first of all, they're not going to have a doctor come to their house. They're going to call a special phone number for the medical team at their hospital, and they're going to arrange for them to go to the hospital. They're not going to have Dr. Bob come out and expose himself to COVID and see if you've got it, but I need you to go to the bank first and get money. That's not how it works. So it's definitely a scam. You need to block him, and above all, don't send anybody any money. If you're chatting with someone on an app and the top of the screen it shows online, then switches to video recording, are they texting you at the same time they video someone else? It depends. Sometimes yes. Depends on what app you're using, what social media app you're using. You know, sometimes works that way. But Facebook's not foolproof either because I have Facebook Messenger with my real profile and I won't be online for like 6 hours, but it shows that I'm still online. It depends, but yeah, it's possible. It's possible that they're talking to somebody else on video. Maria, I think one was trying to sell an email processing system to me. He said I would make $300 weekly on automation. It was hard to believe, and they tried to convince me with some PayPal and Cash App earning screenshots. That's another popular scam, and we'll talk about, okay, like everybody, at least I'm speaking for myself, I'm out of work right now. I'm not earning any. I actually applied for unemployment, and it's taken almost a month for them to process it. I have not gotten paid in over a month. Scammers are taking advantage of this, and so they're going to people and they're saying, "Hey, you can make money online if you do this." And what they do is they show you these fake earnings statements, like from Cash App and PayPal, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a scam, and if people are claiming to you that you can make hundreds of dollars by sitting online and tapping a button or doing something, it's always a scam. And a lot of people unfortunately are falling for those types of things. At the end of the day, real companies don't do that. They don't send you information from other payments that they've made on their payroll. If you ever worked in HR, you don't show others payroll information. So it's always a scam. Sophie has a question. Can you get your money back? Are there legit companies? No. So let's talk about this. This is important. I just helped a victim who lost like $15,000 because of this. There is no company on this planet, no anti-scam page, no government official, no FBI agent that is going to be able to get your money back, that can promise that they'll get your money back. So we have a lot of companies, a lot of fake anti-scam pages who will, they'll tell victims, oh yes, we can get your money back. It'll cost you a $200 processing fee. No, there's no mythical branch of the government that can get your money back from a scammer. If you're talking to somebody online who tells you they're a special agent, they're an FBI agent, they're an anti-scam group or page, and they're promising that they'll get you your money back, it is a scam, 100%. So, unfortunately, and I know it's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, but once you send money, 99% of the time that money's gone. The only time people ever get their money back is if they sent it via bank transfer and they contact the bank right away and they say, look, this is what happened. Sometimes the bank can stop and bring that money back and stop the transfer. But it's very rare. It doesn't happen often. And the only way it happens is if you directly call that bank and let them know what happened, and they are able to stop that transfer. But as far as, anybody getting money for you back, no. And like I said, if anyone's telling you that, it's a scam. It's called a reload scam. And it's just block anybody that tells you that. We want our money back, but the reality is you can't get it back, unfortunately. Next question we have. I'm talking to a man online who says he has 2 kids. He sends and has sent me hundreds of photos of these children. They're always the same kids. That's a plus. Is this scamming with his children, or how does the scammer get all these kids' pics if they're not his? That's a good question, and that's actually interesting. Let's so what scammers do is they go online and they steal photos of kids. So let's say, I'll give you an example. Hi Edith, happy Easter. Let's say your neighbor Stephanie has a Instagram page and she posts hundreds of photos of her kids parties, her kids school day. Here's little Timmy in his first basketball game. She posts these. Scammers go and troll Facebook, Instagram, Flickr. They troll all these photos and social media sites. They find these photos of your kids, steal them. They just right click and steal them, put them in their little online album, or they grab them from their phone and save them. And then what they do is they take all those photos of your kids and they send them to victims, and they say, your child's name is Sarah and Bob, and the scammers will steal photos of your kids and say, oh, this is Timmy and Jessica. They make up new names for your kids and they say they're theirs. So if you're talking to a man online and you've never met him in person, sends you 50 photos of his kids, I would question that. Because most people legitimately who are in an online relationship and who have children don't typically throw their children's photos down your throat, because they want to kind of protect their kids from you, because they don't know if you're going to work out in a relationship, and they're not going to send you all these photos of their kids. It's weird. So the scammer probably has photos of somebody who posted a bunch of photos of their kids, and they've stolen them, and that's what they've done, and they're sending them to you. In that case, like I said, it comes down to demand video chat with him. Say, hey, video chat with me, and write your name on paper, write your kid's name on paper while you're on video, and hold it up next to your face. Scammer won't be able to do that. Message I got below from Bottled app. He tried selling Bitcoin. I'm a professional stockbroker and a sailor. I like the ones that they're like professional stockbrokers and sailors and doctors and army men and engineers. And I create account for newbie and people who doesn't have time to manage their trade. With skills and services, I always win 300% profit and never lose. So let's talk about Bottled. Bottled is an app. I have Bottled. I'm on Bottled. And it's great for meeting people from around the world. You can make great friends from around the world with Bottled, because what you do is you write a virtual bottle, ship in a bottle thing, and you throw it out at sea, and someone picks your bottle up and they want to keep it. They'll chat with you. If they don't, they throw your bottle back. It's a fun little game, and it's great. It's great for meeting friends from around the world, or exchanging cultures and stuff. But unfortunately, Bottled is full of scammers. There are thousands and thousands of scammers on Bottled. And anyone that is claiming to be a stockbroker or a Bitcoin dealer, and well, they're also a sailor, that right there tells me all I need to know. Um, no stock trader, no Bitcoin investor, no Forex trader is going to tell you, I guarantee you with 100% certainty, 100% of your profits. Any real stock trader is going to tell you, look, this is what I can try and do for you. This is what I've had success with. Do you want to try it? And they're not going to be trolling Bottled, Instagram, or Facebook. You're going to find them on, Merrill Lynch type of sites, like E-Trade and Liberty, investments. They're going to be real people that you contact through Google that you look for. They're not going to be found on apps. So, and that trades stocks and does that are going to they're not going to troll you on sites. Dean, to answer your question, I've got it in the middle of my questions. I'm going to address it and a couple other things as well. So yeah, if you're talking to somebody online and they sit there and tell you, I'm a Bitcoin trader, I can make you millions of dollars for a dollar investment, it's a scam. It's always a scam. So next question we have, and then I'm going to address a couple of things. So I've been talking with a woman online for a month. She's beautiful, sweet. We don't video chat. I'm an average guy. And shocked, this beautiful woman chats to me. She won't call me on the phone either, but sends me tons of pictures and will say, here's a photo of me on my bed, and then send a photo of her on her bed. So she's real, I would think. Last week she sent me a pizza for delivery and some Chinese food for delivery, and it showed up at my house because I told her I'm out of work and stuck in quarantine. Would a scammer do this? She says she's a nurse working for the World Health Organization in Syria. So this is an interesting question. Yes, scammers will and do send you food. I will start by saying a woman working for the World Health Organization is not going to be chatting with you. And what has happened is the scammer has stolen photos of probably like a porn star and says, here's a photo of me on my bed. And then the scammer looks and says, oh, I got a photo of this woman on her bed, so I'm going to send it to him. Here's a photo of me in the bathroom. Oh, there's a photo. Any nurse working for World Health Organization is not going to send you pizza and Chinese food. So what the scammer is doing is sending you food through using a stolen credit card or using stolen currency or someone's bank card or bank account, and they're sending the food to your house. And the reason that she, which is probably a guy, is doing this because she won't video chat or voice chat is to butter you up. So let's say this scammer sends you a $12 pizza from Pizza Hut used with bought with someone's stolen credit card, and next week she's going to ask you, honey, did you get your $1,200 stimulus check from the government? Can you borrow me $1,000? And that's what she's doing. She's buttering you up to ask you for money. So scammers will spend someone else's $15 and buy you food so that they can ask you later on for a couple thousand, and that's what they're doing. I got 83 scammers on Instagram, which I blocked, all of them. But then I said Happy Easter to ABC News on Instagram, and they sent me a message on there saying, will you be my friend? So they're trying to go into the people I follow to send me a message. How can they do that? I did block him. So what they do, I mean, Instagram's kind of tricky. They follow you. So they follow what you like. So if you're on ABC News and you're writing Happy Easter, they're going to go in there and follow your post. They're going to see if your followers and your friends are turned on. If your followers are turned on, they're just following you, and they can still click and see your followers. And they might be using a different profile to look at you, and you blocked one of their profiles, but another one of their profiles is still active and they're following you. Scammers go on news pages on Instagram, they go on news pages on Facebook, and they look for victims. So you can innocently write Happy Easter on ABC News or anything, and a scammer will be there and they'll get your information and go, oh, Happy Easter to you, dear. Thank you. I love your post. And that's how they start doing it. With Instagram, there's a lot of tricks with Instagram. I'm not an Instagram professional. I don't personally have Instagram, but I know that in my experience, they've been able to click on your followers even though you've blocked them sometimes. Then they'll do it with a fake profile or do it with a different profile. So it does happen. The next question, well, this is kind of something I want to address that I was asked to address by so I want to go over a couple things because I had a question I'm tying this in with. What anti-scam sites can I trust, and do you recommend any that are run by legit people? So there are a lot of great anti-scam sites run through Facebook and run through Instagram and some with their own web page. You know, we've been friends with some of the pages, and some of the pages, they don't like us and we don't like them, and it's mutual, and we stay on our side of the fence and they stay on theirs. But I want to address a few things. There's a page called Friends of Victims UK Limited, and they help a lot of people that are disabled, that have physical and mental disabilities, that are scam victims. And it's run by a great team. I mean, Anna and myself have known them for quite a while, probably over a year or more. And what's happening is there's a woman named Ellie who has stolen the identities of people, and she's attacking their page, saying that they're scammers. And the page is not run by scammers. The page is run by a legit group of great people from the UK. They are legit. We've checked them out. We know them. But what this woman has done is steal this information, steal the identities, and she's victimizing a lot of their victims, and she's slandering their page. So, you know, there's very few anti-scam pages that Anna and myself will endorse and say, hey, these guys are good. We don't badmouth any anti-scam pages because, you know, we stay away from conflict as much as possible. But I will say with these guys, they are legit people, and it's called Friends of Victims UK Limited. They're a legit page. They do help those that are disabled and have mental physical disabilities and that have been scammed. And unfortunately, there's a person that, whether their name is real or not, or it's a fake name, we don't know the whole situation, is victimizing them. Keep in mind, they're a real page. They're legit. They do help people. They're licensed. They have everything that they need. So um, there's a couple other pages too that are really great, that are run by friends of ours. There's one in the Netherlands, that's run by a friend of ours that does a really great job. You know, the ladies at Scam Haters United are legit. Ghana Romance Scams and Stop UK Marriage Fraud. All of those pages are great. All of those pages are legit, and they're run by good people. And at the end of the day, what it comes down to is, people have asked me, anti-scam sites are good, what ones aren't. I will tell you that any anti-scam site that asks you for money, that tells you they can find your scammer and arrest them, that asks you to pay a fee or asks you for money before they'll check your profile of the person you're talking to out, there's something very wrong. Because what we do for free. We've never asked anybody for money. We never would. All this information that we do and that other pages do is investigative work that you can learn to do yourself. So that's what it's about. But like I said, that particular page is a legit page, and they do help people. They're not scammers. They're not any of that. And when it comes down to is knowing what to look out for, knowing to stay safe, and knowing that if it sounds fishy, like if someone asks you for money before they'll check out a fake profile for you, just leave the page. But they're legit, and I just wanted to address that really quick because the owner paged me about it, and he's a good person. So I just want to let you guys know that. Next question Debbie has is, does WHO employ practicing doctors and nurses? Same with the UN. It seems there are more administrative agencies. The World Health Organization, and, you know, Doctors Without Borders and things like that, they do employ doctors and nurses, but, you know, they do have, the UN's more of a military type installation. I mean, they do have health organization people there too. But I will say this, the World Health Organization, the UN, doctors and nurses that are online, they're not chatting to strangers. So these people, you know, that work for the WHO, yeah, let's give an example. A doctor from New York will fly over to Liberia and help the WHO with people that are dying from Ebola. But that doctor is not going to be on the internet chatting to you, and he's not going to be online wanting to get to know you. So they do have many positions in the UN and the WHO, anywhere from doctors and nurses to, you know, people that wash the laundry. But none of them are going to be chatting to you online. Leanna, do you think that once you have been scammed, do you think they share info? Because I have been getting all kinds of friend requests. They absolutely, positively do. So let's say you've been the victim of a scam and you block the scammer. You're like, good, it's over with. Block the scammer. Well, that scammer, during that whole time he was talking to you, has taken your photos, taken your profile link, taken your phone number if you gave it to him, all of your information. Let's say you're talking to a fake profile and you told him you like country music, you like drinking Coca-Cola, and you work at a box factory. He's taken all that information, he's written it down, and your profile link, and he shares that with a bunch of scammers. So if you block one scammer, you're going to get 10 more friend requests. And it might be the same scammer, and some of them might be the scammer's friends. There are groups on Facebook and on Instagram that are run by scammers. And I've seen posts where they say, talk to this woman. She likes the color blue and she likes military guys with brown hair, and they'll make a military profile and start talking to you. So yeah, they do. And it can be very, very frustrating because you'll end up getting 30, 40, 50 friend requests a day. I did an experiment a couple years ago. I made a fake profile of an elderly woman. I friended one or two, scammers and just random people that were real. And one scammer talked to me and he asked me for money and I blocked him. And what happened was the next day I had 100 friend requests and they were all from fake profiles. So they do share your information. Sometimes they do it because you have paid them money. And so they're like, hey, this lady pays, try it out. Sometimes they share your information because you haven't sent them money. So they get angry, they get pissed off because they worked so hard to try and get your money and then you didn't give them any and they wasted time with you. So then they share your information to other scammers and say, hey, try to get money from this lady. So it is frustrating. The thing that Anna and myself tell you is, block any scammer that, is trying to, mess with you. If you get a lot of friend requests, just keep blocking. Don't open emails. Scammers can see when you open their emails. So just mark them as spam and don't even open them, and they'll move on. They eventually do move on. They don't stay in one spot and try to typically victimize the same person. If they're not going to get money from you, they move on. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, it is frustrating. Next question. Why do scammers use the same people over and over on stolen pictures? We've all seen those pictures and know who they are. I laugh because I had like 25 Dr. Pintos yesterday. I'm seeing Dr. Pinto in my nightmares. So they do use the same photos, and I told one lady the other day, it goes in cycles. So 5 years ago when I started helping Ann, it was Yuha Burtis, Jeffrey Miller, and Aaron Ramos, and Stuart James. I saw these four guys every day on fake profiles. As time goes on, it's been Dr. Samadhi. It's been that one guy that they always Photoshop his head. No one knows his name. Dr. Pinto, and that doctor from Turkey. His name slips my mind, but they use his. And then it's evolved, and now they're using, like Steve G. Jones was a big one for a while. So what they do is a lot of scammers will share these photos and say use him, and he becomes popular. It's like music. You have one band that's a popular song and so everybody's listening to it. It's the same thing. You have popular photos that have worked with some scammers, so everybody's using them. And then they kind of fade away, and then look, another new popular photo comes out, and now everybody loves this photo. And that's kind of how it works. And then sometimes you'll have scammers that'll recycle, and they'll use photos from 10 years ago that no one's used in 10 years, and then they start cropping up, and it's like a wave. And so you'll have Yuha Burtis will show up again on fake profiles, and then he'll go away, and then Dr. Pinto shows up, and then he goes away, and that's kind of how it works. They recycle these photos, and to answer your question, people know who they are. If you have 1,000 victims in a room, and you show a photo of Dr. Pinto, say 500 of them know who he is. There's 500 that don't, and so they're gonna go, oh, he's handsome. I want to talk to him. So it's like playing a game, you try your luck. And like I had a scammer tell me, scamming is like playing the lotto. Sometimes you can win and sometimes you don't. So they use these photos, and just remember that just because you've seen Dr. Pinto doesn't mean Betty Smith down the street knows who he is. So that's why they do it. Sophie, I helped a victim whose scammer wanted her phone carrier info to pay her bill, even though I told that's a scam. She would not believe me. How and why do scammers do that? They don't pay your bill. What they do is there's a couple ways they do it. They ask for your Verizon or T-Mobile login information because they want to pay your bill for you. And what they'll do is one of two things. They will pay your bill with someone's bank details or a stolen credit card. And then they'll show you, here, honey, I paid your bill. Do you see it? And it'll say zero balance paid. Usually anywhere from 4 to 10 days later, that stolen credit card gets reported. They do a fraud investigation. They stop payment and they take it back out and they charge your bill and say, nope, it was fraud. You still owe this amount. During that time, the victim has gained the scammer's trust. The scammer will go in, and since he has access to your T-Mobile account information, he has gone in there because you know people give him the password and stuff. He has gone in there and he's likely changed your password, changed your email, locked you out of your account. He has gotten your credit card or bank information that you have on file because like I have Verizon and my credit card information is on file with my Verizon account. So if you were to log into my Verizon account, you would see my credit card information. So they got that from you. Then what they do is they go through the T-Mobile or the Apple store whatever, and they order themselves, oh, I have Verizon, I've got a Verizon account, I'm going to order myself a new phone. And I'm going to have that phone shipped to another victim in, say, Florida. And that victim is going to ship me that phone to wherever I'm at, Ghana, Nigeria, India, wherever. So they order stuff on your account. And what happens is the next month, when they finally, you finally get that new bill and you see not only do you owe your old statement bill, someone ordered $1,000 iPhone. And guess what? When you call T-Mobile or Verizon or Cricket or any of those dealers, they'll ask you, well, how did they get the information? Well, I gave this my boyfriend online or my friend my login details, and Verizon will say you gave that information up, you authorized them to use your account, you're responsible for the balance. And so we've had victims that have hundreds of thousands of dollars because a scammer went into their bank or their T-Mobile account and ordered 2, 3, 4 iPhones, and they've had to pay it back. They've been responsible. Janet, Grant Cardone is a big one. Grant Cardone's not actually a scammer. His photos are used. Everybody uses his photos. The real man is actually a very wealthy and successful person. He's unfortunately the victim of photo theft, and the reason why is because he has a website, he has an Instagram page that's verified, and he has hundreds of photos open for scammers to use and videos because he does motivational speaking. And unfortunately, that's why. But people ask a lot of times, how do these scammers, how do they get these photos? And it's like they're photos of people that are public. Like they're Dr. Pinto. If you've ever been to Dr. Pinto's Instagram, he has like 5,000 photos of himself at the hospital, photos with him and acquaintances and colleagues. Scammers just go on and take them. They're free for the taking, and that's how they get them, unfortunately. And it's the same way they get photos of you. They just go to your page, and if your page isn't secure, they're taking all those photos. Next question we have is, it's a good one. I was a victim of a scam and I filed a report with IC3. I told the scammer off and told him I was reporting him to the FBI. He blocked me, but now an FBI agent has messaged me via Facebook and he has my case. Is this a real agent? And he said he will arrest my scammer for a processing fee. How, if this is a scammer, would he know I filed a report? Because you told him. You told the scammer, I'm going to call the FBI on you, and he blocked you or you blocked him, whatever. So this comes down to you told him you were going to file a report against him. So he said, oh, I'll make a fake FBI profile and come back and told her after a few days I got your report. Let's start with the FBI, Interpol, the police. They do not message you on Facebook saying, I have your case. They do not message you saying, I'm Agent Smith and I have your case. It doesn't work that way. The FBI does not make you pay a processing fee for filing a case. They do not make you pay a processing fee for anything. They just, they take your case at ic3.gov and that's it. And if they need to correspond with you through official means, official email.gov, not Gmail, not through Instagram, not through a DM, not through any of that. So if you're talking to somebody that's that, it's a scammer. It's probably the same scammer you told I was going to call the police on you or the FBI on you. Just block them. The FBI doesn't charge a fee for anything. Uh, Next, would a scammer pretend to be different people? I'm talking to a military man online, but his commander wrote me and they make the same spelling mistakes on the same words. Now a member of the United Nations emailed me, and again, the same words are not spelled right. Would scammers put in that much effort? Absolutely. So, for starters, any real military man who you're talking to online, you're not going to get an email from his commander. He's not going to show you any official documents. He's not going to show you anything about his own personal military life. A commander, a chief, you know, a sergeant, anybody is not going to contact you. You are a civilian. The military does not contact civilians about military, their soldiers. And the United Nations certainly is not going to contact you or an attorney or anything about a leave. So yes, a scammer will pretend to be different people. I've had a scammer pretend and write to me as themselves, as the fake profile, as the daughter, as the son, as the mother, as the commander, as the hospital worker, as the doctor, as the nurse. They play actors in this game. And so yes, scammers will put in that much effort. They will pretend to be everybody. Everybody. They'll pretend to be the little boy and call you mommy, and then the brave soldier, and they do it all. They do it all. Becky, if you were scammed and wired money to a bank account, can the bank account find out who owned the account? Yes, the bank can. But keep in mind, a lot of times what happens is, I'll give you an example. Let's say that you, Becky, I'm gonna just go on a limb here. I'll say you live in Texas and you wired money to a lady named Betty in Florida. So the bank can investigate that. They can see where the money went. They can see who owns the bank account. But at the end of the day, unless the money went to a hotspot like India, Turkey, somewhere in Europe, and to a name that's suspicious, if you tell me you wired money to a bank account in Nigeria, then a lot of times they can find out who the scammer is. We could even look and see who it is. But if you're wiring money to another person in the States, a lot of times that person's a victim. So what happens is the bank investigates and they say, oh, well, you, Becky, wired money to a lady named Betty in Florida. Betty in Florida, we talked to her, and she's talking to a man named Bob who said that you are a million, you wired the money, or you're the sister of Bob. And these scammers spin stories, so they have victims wire money to different victims, and that's probably most of the time what happens. But yeah, the bank can investigate, and I tell people, and Ann tells people all the time, if you've sent money via bank transfer, call your bank. Call your bank right away. Sometimes you can put a stop to the transfer. You can put a stop to the account, and they can get your money back. It's rare, but it happens. But if you're talking to somebody and they had you wire money, definitely call the bank. Banks have their own investigation people that they can look into this stuff. So yeah, definitely, and they can see who owned the account. A lot of these accounts are opened online, and they're opened with stolen identity. They're open with stolen social security and credit card numbers and or IDs that people have given. So that happens a lot too. If you're talking to a fake profile and they say to you, oh, you've won a prize. Can you give me your password or your social security card and your driver's license, please, and your date of birth? And people do, thinking they've won a prize. And what happens is that scammer takes that information, he opens a bank account online, and he uses that bank account, and he logs into it. And then once victims send the money, he grabs that money out and he sends it to himself or whatever. And that happens quite often. So if you're, it comes down to, if you've been a victim of a scam, of course, contact your bank. Tell them what happened and be honest. Don't go, well, don't be shady about it. Just be honest and say, this is what happened. And they can trace it. Rita, I had an email from a scammer who had my old password and said they installed a malware virus on the website and my webcam was opened to a remote access. He had access to my messenger and other contacts. Then he said for me to stop, I should pay him 2,900 in Bitcoin. He told me how to do it, and I had 24 hours. Well, um, So, okay, so change your password. Have you changed your password? If you've changed your password to your email, change your password to your social media, and then what you want to do, I mean, if you, it's a scam. It's not really happening. And you know, some scammers are hackers. Some scammers can remote access your camera and do things like that. But it's unlikely he's trying to scare you. If you're really concerned, there's a great website called Malwarebytes. It's Malwarebytes, and it's free. You download the free trial, and you run a malware scan on your computer, and it'll scan for any viruses, it'll scan for any malware, and it'll remove it for you for free. So if you're worried about that, just go to Malwarebytes and download the free app and scan your computer or your phone. Um, but my suggestion to you, if someone's scaring you like that and saying those kind of things, just block them. Just block them, and just protect yourself. If your password has been changed, and you know, if you go into like Gmail and you change your password and then you check your settings and make sure that your contact information is correct, like I use my phone number as a setup, so if someone tries to get into my Yahoo or Gmail, it sends me a text alert and I can say yes or no, and that's what you need to do. Just make sure everything's set up. Make sure you know you've changed your passwords, and you should be fine. You should be fine. And remember, scammers like to play on fear. So they try to scare you and say, "I can see your webcam. I can come after you." It's a fear tactic. It's the same as a scammer telling you, "I'm going to come to your house and kill you." They're not going to. I've had victims that have actually packed their home and were going to move out of their home because they thought the scammer was going to come through their door and kill them. And I tell them 99% of the time that scammer's in a place they can't even leave their own country or their own village, let alone come and kill you. Don't let them scare you with fear. Really don't. You'll be fine. Next question we got a couple more questions, and then I'll answer some in the chat as well. Uh, I know this is a long shot, but is there any dating sites that don't have scammers? No. So dating sites, we've had people ask us what dating site is safe, and we want us to open our own scamming scammers dating site, which would be pretty cool. But there's no dating site that is safe, whether it be eHarmony that you pay for a monthly membership fee, because scammers do that too, and they use stolen credit cards. Our Time, which is you know, targeted towards retired and older people, there's scammers on that. Scammers on Tag, scammers on Match, Badu, Local, you know, whatever. There's even scammers. We have one lady who works in a kind of a controversial industry. She is a legit adult entertainer. We'll leave it at that. And she says there's scammers on the adult like porn sites. There's scammers everywhere. They're on every site. So no, there is no dating site that's scammer free. If there is one that claims to be, they're lying to you. There's no site that's scammer free. It's just a matter of knowing what to do and how to stay safe. That's the best thing you can do. Sophie, can you talk about what's best to do when you find out he's really a scammer? Should you confront them? So that's a great question. No, don't confront him. You know, it's reaction to want to yell at a scammer and say, "Hey, you dirtbag! I know you're a scammer. I know what you are. I know where you're from. You're a blah blah blah." The reality of it is, you don't know who is behind that profile. So it's easy for us to become warriors on the keyboard and say, "You piece of crap! I know you're a scammer." But the reality is you don't know what kind of scammer. So you could be talking to legitimately a 14-year-old kid in a web, you know, cafe in Nigeria, but you could also be talking to a 35-year hardened scammer with an associate's business with an engineering degree in computer science who is sitting in $1 million house in Lagos who has been successful and who says, "Oh yeah, pop pop pop," and completely wrecks your world. So no, you shouldn't confront scammers. Scammers are people just like you and I, and you don't know a good one from a bad one. You know, if you yell at a scammer and he's like psycho, he may stalk you till the end of the world. I mean, I've had scammers that you know, people have told off their scammer and said, "Hey, f you," and you know, a couple weeks later, they're getting 400, 500 friend requests a day. and they're getting stalked and they're getting phone calls 300 times in the middle of the night. So, no, you really shouldn't confront your scam as much as you want to. The best thing you can do is block them. Don't even say you know, just block them and move on. And if they come back to you and they start harassing you, why did you block me? Just block them again. Just shut the door in their face so that um, they don't come back. Rita, the password he has was so old, not sure how he got my Hotmail address. He's not scaring me. Figured it was a scam. Good. If it's an old password and he probably got your address. He might not even be the same scammer you confronted before. It might be a different scammer that just tried to scare you. So yeah, you'll be fine. All right. Sorry to the people in the chat that are not writing in English. I apologize. I only speak English and read English. So um, if you want to translate it for me, I'll answer your question. But that's another thing. When people come to the inbox, um, if you can't translate it, I can't help you because I don't have time to translate everything, unfortunately. Next question. Why are more scammers asking if you have Cash App and Venmo instead of your bank details or Western Union? They are. What's happening is places like Western Union and MoneyGram, it's harder and harder now for scammers to actually physically go and pick up the money. And there's a risk that comes with scammers wanting, to have you send money to a mule. Because sometimes scammers will work on a victim and get that victim to send like $2,000. And they send it to a money mule, and that money mule's like, hey, free money, and just takes the money and leaves. And so that's a gamble that the scammers make. It's harder and harder for somebody from, say, like Ghana to walk into a Western Union and say, oh, I'm picking up money from my aunt, Mabel Smith in Florida, because they're suspicious of that now. So what they're using is Cash App and Venmo, which is an online pay app, and they actually open, it's really crazy how they do it, but they open bank accounts with victims' information. So again, we talked about scammers asking for your social and your driver's license and your mother's maiden name and all that. They take that information, they open an online bank account, and they'll put, currency in there, like they'll steal money from somebody else and drop in 25 bucks, open a bank account. Once that bank account's opened, they can go on their phone and open Cash App, and they can link their Cash App name to that bank account that they've gotten, and they'll use Cash App to get the money, and then they'll put that money in that bank account, and then they'll take that money out, and it's all done online. So they are using more of the online pay, and as technology goes further, they're going to start using Cash App, they're going to start using Venmo, they're going to use more PayPal, they're going to use more apps that are targeted. There's one in Africa now. I think it's called Lion something app, and it's like Cash App for Africa. And so that's what they're using now. They're using that more instead of using something like Western Union, because it's quicker, it's easier to get the money, and it's anonymous pretty much. Mike, what if they're continuing to want you to send money, saying that they came to your house but you wasn't home, and then hacked your account and found family pictures and hit them up? What do? Block them. They didn't come to your house. It's a fear tactic. So I've had scammers tell. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a lady who talked to a scammer. She sent money. She blocked the scammer, found out she was scammed, and the scammer, wanted more money. She blocked him. She told him "F you, no," and blocked him. The scammer, who had been in a relationship with her for like probably a year, and had her information, knew where she lived, he told her, "I've been to your house. I was at your house yesterday. You have a blue car and you have a yellow flower pot in front of your door." And she freaked out and she thought, "Oh my God, he's been to my house. He's an American. He's going to kill me." And I said to her, I said, what address did you give him? And she gave me her address. And I said, hold on 1 minute. And I came back and I said, you have a red mailbox. And she goes, well, how did you know that? And I said, I went on Google Earth, and I went, and I'm virtually standing in front of your house right now. You have a red mailbox, you have a blue car, you have a yellow doormat, I says, they went on Google Earth and they found what your house looks like, and they're describing your house to you just like I am. And they're trying to scare you. Here, and what you have to keep in mind, and I'll tell you this, in this almost 6 years I've been helping Ann with this page, I've only found one American in 6 years who has ever been legitimately scamming with their own photos, their own name online. And it was a different kind of scam. Most of these scammers, and people get angry at me when I say this, a lot of the scammers come from West Africa. They come from India. They come from Pakistan. They come from the Middle East, more places like Jordan and Oman. They do like sextortion scams. But the majority of scammers come from this section of the world. They come from Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. And so at the end of the day, you're talking to somebody who is in a country that they probably cannot leave, and they're using fear to scare you. They're using fear to freak you out and say, "Oh my God, you've been to my house." They've never been to your house. They've never been to your house. They've never come and seen your house. And the best thing you can do is block them, block them, block them, block them, and don't give in to fear because they've never been to your home. And if they're claiming they can, they'll say, "Oh, I hacked your password." If you're worried about that, change your passwords. Change your password to your email, to your Facebook, your Instagram. Change your password to your online bills, and run a virus scan on your computer or your phone, and that's the best thing you can do. Leanna, has anyone ever got scammed from Andrea Zancini? He's a model. I've seen people use photos. He's not actually suing people, but I've seen people use his photos. There's a lot of scammers that do use his photos. So if you're talking to a model online, and a lot of scammers do use his pictures. So just keep that in mind. And again, like we said before, real artists, real models, real singers, they don't chat with you online. They don't want to get to know you. They don't want to give you their secret number. They don't want to do any of that. So, and again, if you guys have questions and ask them, and if I miss the question, just let me know and I'll check because I don't know how you guys see it, but on my end, it's very small and it flies really fast. So I do miss people's questions and I apologize. Next question we have. Have you ever come across any scammers who claim to have coronavirus? Yes. I had a scammer the other day talk to my fake Betty profile, and he said he had coronavirus and he needed $600 for hand sanitizer. So yes, they are. They are pretending to have coronavirus. Unfortunately, they're taking advantage of the pandemic. And one more question that someone wrote in: do you think scammers know what's going on with America and our stimulus checks and our bank deposits? Yes. And again, scammers watch the news just like you and I watch the news. They're not stupid. They do watch the news. They do watch what's going on in the world. They know what's happening, and they know when we're getting paid. They know how people get their Social Security and disability checks. They know what dates they get them. They know all that stuff. They do watch the news. I had someone that on our YouTube channel the other day. I had a voice chat with a guy named Curtis, and it was a fake profile. He sent us real photos. He confessed, and when I chatted with him as Betty, we had this very lengthy conversation about music, and I didn't expect the chat to go this way, and it did. And so we had this lengthy conversation about music, and he loved Tupac. And I kind of went with it, not thinking that the conversation would go this far. And I like Tupac, and so we had this like long conversation about Tupac, and we were singing songs together. And somebody on YouTube read, um, this scammer must have connections or family in America because he knows American music. And here's the thing, and people tend to forget. I don't know if people just don't understand what, but um, music globally reaches everywhere. So somebody an artist like Tupac has reached every corner of the globe. And I've traveled to a lot of countries in the world. I've been all over the world, and there's places that I've been to, like in the Balkans, where people know these bands that I think, God, how do you know that? Music travels. So scammers don't necessarily need to have a connection to an American to know American music. A lot of people in Nigeria and Ghana know who the Kardashians are. They know who these famous musicians are, and they know who they are. So that comes down to entertainment and music reaches across the nation, reaches across the planet. So just because a scammer knows a TV show that you watch doesn't mean that he has someone telling him about these shows. 90 Day Fiance, the new season, is one of the most popular shows in Nigeria. because there's a Nigerian guy on there this season with baby Lisa and so all of Nigeria is watching this show, and I had a scammer tell me I watched the show because there's somebody on. So just remember, modern tech, what we see. So yes, they do know about stimulus checks. They do know about payments. They do know about that, and they're going to come after you for your money. So be very vigilant in the next couple months. Mike, how can you check the Gmail account to make sure it's legit? So here's the thing with Gmail. People tell me all the time, I want to check a Gmail, and I checked it, and the IP comes out of Mountain View, California. I used to actually live in Mountain View, California, and I'll tell you what it is. It's a technology hub. It's Google is Gmail, and they're located in Mountain View, California. Yahoo is located in Sunnyvale, California. So when you check a Gmail account and the IP comes back to Mountain View, California, that means it's going back to the hub at Google. And there's a lot of technology places in the Bay Area in California. You can't necessarily check a Gmail account to make sure it's legit. You can run it through like Google search, just type in the entire Gmail address and toss it into Google and see if anything comes up on it. So like if we posted we posted like bobsmith@gmail.com and he was involved in a scam, our webpage, or it'll show up, our Facebook page, or it'll show up another anti-scam page if it's been used in a scam. But you can't really check a Gmail. What you can do though is what context is that Gmail being used? Are you talking to someone who claims to be an FBI agent and they gave you a Gmail address? Then it's a scam. If you're talking to somebody that, is working on an oil rig and their pipes exploded and their email is oilrigmanwidow@gmail.com, it's a scam. So it's not just like checking the Gmail as to, you know, checking what context is that Gmail being used for. So if you're talking to somebody online and they said to you, I really love you, I want to be with you, can you send me $1,000 plane ticket? My email is bobsmith@gmail.com. It's a scammer. But if you have someone like you want me to check out and look at, just inbox it and I'll take a look and see if I can find anything on it. But um, it's a lot of scammers use Gmail. So Gmail is the new Yahoo. They used to use Yahoo, now they use Gmail. So be very suspicious of someone you don't know wanting something from you and giving a Gmail address. Um, yeah, thanks, Brenda. If you have a question, or Janet, if you have a question, does anyone on here? I only can read English, unfortunately. Um, and you're right. Half of Ukraine scams. There's a lot of scammers in the Ukraine. Somebody asked me one time why we don't feature scammers from the Ukraine, and what I tell them is the same thing I'll tell you. If you have proof, and if you have their fake profile, give it to me and I'll post it and I'll investigate it. But what happens is scammers in the Ukraine do a different type of romance scam than say scammers in Nigeria. A lot of Nigerian scammers take photos of military and they make a fake profile, or they take photos of an engineer or Dr. Pinto and they post it online with a fake profile and they romance victims. Scammers in the Ukraine, they do a little bit different. Sometimes they use their real photos to scam men out of visas. If you watch 90 Day Fiance, you'll watch this season David with Lana, and he's never met her, and he's talked to her for 7 years, and he sent her $100,000 worth of chat time. So yeah, there's scammers all over. There's scammers in Thailand. There's scammers in Malaysia. There's scammers in the U.S. But unfortunately, what we do is pertaining to romance scams. We do end up getting a lot of West African scammers, and it's just because a lot of them do romance scams, unfortunately. Not all of them, but there's a lot of romance scammers in West Africa. Debbie, my friend found out my scammer's IP address for his Gmail account is from Nigeria. We didn't use an IP catcher. Is there another way? Maybe my friend knew something. People don't. It depends on what they use. Like Gmail, I've never had success with finding an IP through Gmail. Very rarely, because usually it comes back to Mountain View, California. So I use IP catcher. I use, check my IP, that kind of thing. But that's the only way I personally know how. And again, even if you have a scammer's IP address and you run their IP address and it shows you where they're at, the police can do nothing. They'll be like, "Oh, thanks," and that's it. So, Janet, I ask my scammer questions, but if they can't answer the question, they are Los Angeles City, which is a desert. It's like California City. I lived in California a large majority of my life, and I love when people say they're from California City, and I always say to them, "Oh, I love the beach in California City," and they'll say, "Oh yes, dear, it's wonderful." It's like it's a desert. It's in the middle of nowhere. So it's funny. It is funny. Mike. Okay, I got the email. If you wanna click the inbox, click message, and drop that email in there and tell me who it's for, what it's about, and I can investigate it for you. I've been talking to someone working on a bridge project near Chad, Africa. Because of the COVID-19, they're running low on food. They are all staying in tents. He says he's been trying to get a hold of the company who sent him there, but he hasn't gotten an answer back. He's worried they'll run low without help. He said he can go to the nearest village and get essentials, but they only take cash. It's a scam. It's a scam. Listen, people that are building bridges, especially in a remote place like Chad, which is like they're not going to be there anyways, but um, companies like that are major companies, and they're billion-dollar insured companies. There's a company in East Africa, which is Chad is that area, that run from um, South Sudan through Somalia through all those areas, and they do road construction, they do trucking, and there's a couple of Americans that actually work there doing it. There was a documentary about this. They're insured. The company is insured for millions of dollars per person because of the dangers of working there. They're not running low on food because of COVID-19. And actually, in places like Chad right now in East Africa, COVID is not running rampant like it is here. Um, so you're talking to a scammer. He's probably going to have you send money to either, you know, there are scammers in Chad, Africa, but he'll have you send money somewhere else to somebody, either someone in Nigeria or someone, in a different country in Africa. But just block that person. It's going to be a scam. Scam. Leanna, I don't know if I'm missing your question. If you want to ask it right now again, I can see it because I went through and answered your last one about the model. So if you want to type the question right now, I'll catch it as you type it. And I apologize. This chat goes very quickly, so I do miss some people's questions. But Leanna, if you want to ask a question right now, I'll answer it for you. And to answer your question, Mats, I only speak English. I only read English. So if you have a question and it's not in English, I can't respond. I apologize. But yeah, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask, and I'll try to answer as many as I can. Um, Hi, Maria from Malaysia. Hi, everyone that's joining the chat. And again, I want to wish you guys a happy Easter as well. Um, Update on Anna, myself. You guys have been asking. Anne's doing okay. She hasn't been feeling great this week, but she's doing all right on the page here and there. But she's resting, and in Australia, they're pretty much locked down in like a quarantine situation there. And here in Oregon, where I live, we're the same situation. We can only go out for essentials and only go out for things that we absolutely positively have to get. I've been out of work for almost a month now, and hopefully, once this stuff is figured out, I can go back to work. But it's been tough. But it's rough for everybody, and I hope all you guys are staying safe and being healthy. So, but it is very, 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 very scary for everybody in this world. And somebody asked me a question the other day: is what are scammers doing now that none of us can leave the house? They can't get money, and I tell them yes, they can. They're making victims buy iTunes cards and Amazon cards on the internet. They're making them purchase them online. They're making them use cash apps, and then they're saying, "Hey, I know you're getting that stimulus money. I know you're getting unemployment. I know you're getting this and that. Can you send me some money?" So they are doing it, and they're actually using the pandemic to you know instill fear and make people feel bad. I've had scammers that have said, pretend to be military profiles, and they say, "Hey, peacekeeping in Afghanistan, and the military won't bring us home. Can you pay for a private jet? And they're asking for large amounts of money, and so that's kind of what they're doing nowadays as well. So we just have to be vigilant through this together and stay in the house and stay healthy. That's the best thing we can do. Um, and Brenda, yes, I can file for unemployment, and I filed for unemployment almost a month ago, and I have not heard back from them yet. They're that backed up with people filing unemployment, and it's happening, all over the states, unfortunately. So, yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough for me. It's been tough for other people as well. And I'm okay. I just feel sorry for people that aren't. And hopefully we can all get back to work. I've never in my life ever not worked, so I don't know what it's like to just sit home. It's driving me insane. But yeah, everything will be okay. We just need to stay healthy. Health is more important than anything else, and so we got to remember that. If you guys have any questions, ask them. Answer. Otherwise, I'll close out the Q&A in a few minutes, and just we'll probably do another one. Maybe in a couple weeks, depending. You guys come and you ask me to do them, so I'm happy to do them. And Brenda, you're right. That's the sickening part. People are dying and they're making money. They are, and scammers don't care. I've been talking to a couple of scammers this week, and they've actually, I told one scammer, he asked me to send $1,000 to somebody in New York. And I had told him, I said, well, it's not really safe right now. I said, the whole thing with the coronavirus and, people else. And I told the scammer, it's not safe for me to leave the house. Matter. He says, you need to send the money. So, Leanne, the only question I'm seeing you ask was about the model, and I did answer that one. And I've scrolled all the way to the top, and that's the only question I've seen you ask. So, if you have a question, I'm sitting here. I'm happy to answer it, but I have completely scrolled the chat, and that's the only question you asked me was about that model, and I told you yes, scammers are using his photos. So, but yeah, it's tough right now, and like I said, we need to stay vigilant. We need to stay, on our guard, because scammers are taking advantage of this pandemic and this crisis. So, but with that, I'm going to close the Q&A. And I wanted to thank everybody. If I missed your question, and like I said, the chat is very small and it's very slow. Click message, inbox it to me. I'll answer it right away. I'm working the page right now. So if you have a question, please feel free to ask it in the chat, in the inbox, and I'll answer it for you. And again, people have asked us how to get a hold of us. Scammingscammers@gmail.com is our email address. I check it twice a week because we get so many emails that twice a week is the most I can check it at this point. And again, if you need help, our inbox is always open, and we never let our inbox go longer than 10 to 12 hours at a time. So we're always here to try and assist you the best we can. So thanks everybody for coming out. I hope you guys have a happy Easter if you celebrate Easter. Stay safe. Stay the hell away from everybody. Stay in your house. Don't cough on nobody, and put your mask on when you go out, and wash your hands. Ken and myself love all you guys, and we want you guys to stay safe. So thanks for coming out and doing the Q&A with me, and hit the inbox. We'll see you guys next time. We'll do another Q&A pretty soon, and I will be doing some more voice chats as Betty, because you guys have asked. So thanks again. Stay healthy, stay safe, be well. We'll get through this all together. So hang in there. All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye.